conceptual programmer for Babbage's analytical engine. In subsequent writings, she developed the loop and subroutine concepts, a century before electronic computing machines appeared. I begin with the contributions of Ada Byron Lovelace, the daughter of English aristocrats, for two reasons. First, Lovelace was a Victorian mathematician who laid the foundations for modern computing technologies a century before the first electronic computers were built. The analytical engine was a forerunner to the electronic calculating computers built in the 20th century and shares key design features used in modern computing. Second, until recently, women who were pioneers in the field of computing had been written out of the history of artificial intelligence and computing technologies. Ada Byron's accomplishments during an era when women were excluded from attending universities reveal the ways that class status, social capital, and family support intersected to allow her to pursue the study of advanced mathematics in Britain. On the other side of the Atlantic, 90 years after the birth of Ada Byron Lovelace, a Cherokee woman who would co-found the Society for Women Engineers was born. Mary Golda Ross, a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, was born in 1908 and grew up in rural Oklahoma. Ross taught high school mathematics before she became a statistical clerk for the Bureau of Indian Affairs in Washington, D.C. After earning a graduate degree in mathematics, she was hired for a wartime job at Lockheed Missiles and Space Company, now Lockheed Martin, in Southern California in 1942. Ross, the first woman to be classified as an engineer at Lockheed, co-founded the first chapter of the Society for Women Engineers, SWEET, in Southern California, and later founded another chapter in Silicon Valley. The Society of Women Engineers is now considered part of an old girls network that has 40,000 members globally. After the war ended, she continued to work for Lockheed and became the only woman in a 40-person think tank for special projects, the Skunk Work, out of which was born the Missile and Space Division. When the firm launched LMSC in Sunnyvale, she moved to the Valley and worked there until her retirement in 1973. In 1999, Ross reflected on her career. You could just practically name what you wanted to do. It was terribly exciting. They'd give us a mission, and we'd figure out how to accomplish it. Lockheed Missiles and Space Company played a key role in the opportunity structure for women engineers in the mid to late 20th century. In an analysis of industry archives and interviews with former employees, Glenna Matthews notes, "From about 1960 to the very recent past, Lockheed Missiles and Space Company, LMSC, was the largest private employer in Santa Clara County. At the height of the firm's prosperity, it employed some 25,000 employees, of whom 20 to 25% were female, depending on the year. That Lockheed employed a few women in highly responsible positions, and that the firm had a ladder for encouraging those in secretarial or other hourly jobs to move into management, suggests that LMSC may have inadvertently been a catalyst for social change." During the mid-20th century, women were welcomed into the aerospace industry. Silicon Valley military contractors were pressured to hire talent, and although women were concentrated in non-engineering jobs, they could still prove themselves, and, if given an opportunity, could remain in their positions after the Second World War ended. But by the end of the 20th century, the workforce of Lockheed had shrunk dramatically. Esther Williams, a white engineer and co-founder of the Society of Women Engineers, was born in 1913 and grew up in Washington, D.C. She earned a degree in engineering at the University of California at Berkeley. During the Second World War, Williams was hired by the Kaiser shipyards in Oakland. After the war, she secured a job at Douglas Aircraft of Southern California before going to Lockheed. Williams organized a meeting while she was working in Los Angeles, and Mary Ross was among the 18 women who attended. They were both transferred by Lockheed to Silicon Valley, where they established another chapter of the Society for Women Engineers. Both women benefited from labor unions.